So welcome to this session of the Atal training titled Leading Self to Excellence, a journey from survival to significance. This is session 12, where we talk about leading others. This is the third session of the Leading Others series. So in the previous session, we were discussing about habit 5. So who can fill me in about what were we discussing about habit 5? No one?
Habit of mutual understanding.
Habit 5 is the habit of mutual understanding. What is the ineffective paradigm?
In effect, I listen with an intent to reply.
And what is the effective paradigm?
I listen with an intent to understand.
And then we looked at this example or this video of Stephen, where he said that in every science, in every dimension of human endeavor, diagnosis precedes prescription. And we also saw that we ourselves have either experienced or we have ourselves done this kind of emotional blackmailing or stuff like that to people around us. And when that is done, how do we feel? How do we feel when we experience being emotionally manipulated or anything like that? What is the feeling we get?
Not good.
Not good. We feel violated. Our relationship goes for a toss. The emotional bank account is severely depleted. So any questions from the past session, from the previous session, or any suggestions or any comments you have from the previous session? Then we take the next step. So everything is clear. We will now listen with an intent to understand. Yes, Vanita.
Namaskar. I could not attend the first session properly today, and the second one was also a little bit interrupted. So towards the closure of this session, my humble request, if you could summarize the first session of today, because I'm more interested in doing the sessions. Maybe my quiz is going wrong.
Yeah. So I will also put the videos online so that you can watch the videos after the 5 p.m. thing is done. I will upload the videos online for today, and we can review. See, I would want to end with this meditation, so we will see.
The meditation.
I'm sorry?
Before the meditation, if it is possible.
Yeah, let's see how much time we take on this habit 5. If we have time, you can do a quick recap of what we did today. Okay, we can do that. Yeah. So we were talking about doing our bit, putting in our energy into first diagnosing the problem. So when do you sense there is a problem? How do you sense there is a problem somewhere? A friend has come to you and you somehow get a feeling that there is some problem. I need to talk to this guy. How does that happen? How do you get that feeling?
Their language, how they are talking or behaving.
How they are talking. What do you mean by how they are talking, Swetanjali?
Means like they were not responding properly, or like they will talk like just a straightforward answer. So something is wrong there. Oh,
so you want jalebi type answers?
Not jalebi type, like previously, how is he with two friends are there, we're talking very friendly. It's not a straightforward answer like customer care, just do and that.
So the words are all fine, huh? Whatever is being said is all fine. Body language. So Do you know what kind of communication happens through words? When I am speaking to you or you are speaking to me, what kind of communication happens through words? What percentage of total communication happens through words?
40%.
Anyone? 40%? Okay. And how much by the intonation of voice? How I am speaking these words? Like Shwetanjali was saying, na, bilkul flatly baat kar raha hai. There's no smile in the voice. So how much by that?
What you say, maybe 30%, another 20% or 10% will be the intonation. And but I will put more a chunk, like 50% for body language.
Okay. So 50%. So Malabika says 30% for words, 20% for how those words are being said, and 50% for body language. Am I right, Malabika?
Yes.
Okay.
May I?
Kaval, please. Yeah, Kaval, please.
7% is the words, 33 or 38, and maximum percentages of voice tone and your modulation, your voice expressions add quality, that soul to your voice.
Okay. Tushti?
Anuj, yeah, it's like that, Anuj, that even if we are not seeing a person, if we are on a call, then the voice intonation, it gives the impact of the feelings, the emotions that the person is having for you. Whether he is very congenial talking to you, or he's having some, limiting his talks or his words with you. So I think that apart from body language and words, even the intonation, voice modulation, that works. That leaves an impact.
Yes, very true. Thank you, Tushti. Vanita?
You're welcome.
Yes, Anuj, I would like to add over here कि आप किसी को मिठाई खिला रहे हो और बहुत rudely बात कर रहे हो तो impactful नहीं है. Words do matter, but then the pitch of the voice, the intonation of the voice, and the body language, they matter most. आप प्यार से अगर किसी को डांट भी देते हो तो वो उसका बुरा नहीं मानता है.
Yeah, thank you, Vanita, for sharing this. So, and thank you, Tushti, for also bringing in this aspect of online classes and everything, where probably this percentages of how much through voice intonation and how much through body language would change significantly.
Yes.
Because in these online calls, you're not able to see the body language much. Most of us have our videos off, and those who have our videos on, even for them, you do not know. You just see up till the neck level or something like that.
Exactly. During most of your sessions,
what they are doing with their hands, what they are doing with their legs, are they stressed out? All that you can't make out. Yeah, but let us say in a one-to-one setting when you're meeting physically, which we hope that this is a transient phase, and that when we are meeting physically, at those times, words communicate only 7%, as Kamalpreet said. The intonation of the voice, how we say those words, is another 38%. And 55% is communicated by body language. So if we want to diagnose a problem, should we only listen to what is being said? Nahin, na? If we want to understand what the problem a person is facing, then we can't be just working on our laptop and listening to the words that the other person is saying. It won't work.
We don't need words to express our pain. Even see, I when I was sharing taking session on this, I just asked my students, look at the camera and just guess, and I've shared few expressions, and they in the chat box they start, man, you are sad, you are depressed. So by even the not entire body language, even your eye contact, even every little detail, minute detail, it's like so expressive. Even when you're not speaking, your body is conveying a lot.
Yes. So if you're sitting with your hands crossed like this, it conveys that you do whatever you do, I'm not interested. Huh?
Yes.
When you're sitting with your relaxed posture, palms facing upwards, you're open to things. So your body, we did this experiment yesterday, palms facing upwards, we breathe in a certain way, palms facing downwards, we breathe in a different way. So our body does change, in response to our thoughts. And if we consciously update our body language, we can think differently. So there is a two-way connection over there. So see, if so much is to happen outside of the domain of words, then communication must involve not just your ears, but also your eyes and your heart. And that is what is empathic communication. So, what is the best form of communication? Is there a best form of communication for all times? Should we always communicate empathically?
It's not always.
No. When do we not need to communicate empathically?
In general terms, unless and until there's a sheer demand of the time or the situation, we do not behave emphatically.
So there is this book called Crucial Conversations. It gives a very beautiful formula of how to identify if empathic listening or empathic communication is required. That formula says that there have to be 3 conditions. First is that this relationship is important for you. Second is that emotion should be high. Third is that there must be some disagreement. There must be some confusion. That is where you need empathic listening. So what are the 3 things? Relationship or the stakes involved are high. Second, emotions are high. Third, there is some disagreement or some misunderstanding, some lack of understanding. When all these 3 things meet, then empathic listening is required. When any one of them is missing, you don't need empathic listening. And it's a very beautiful consolidation. So if you get an opportunity, do read that book, Crucial Conversations. And it has a follow-up, there is a second book in the series called Crucial Accountability. That is also beautiful. So these 2 books, in my experience, help you with more exact tools. So see, 7 Habits is a book which would give you knowledge, very effective tools. But somewhere in my personal experience, for habits 4, 5, and 6, this book falls a little short of exact how to do it, or something like that. So this Crucial Conversations and Crucial Accountability, these 2 books help you develop your habit 5 and habit 4 in a much more lucid way. So you can do that completely with 7 Habits also. But if you are struggling and you need more help, then these 2 books can be of help to you. For example, this shared goal, when we were talking about Think Win-Win, I brought in this concept of shared goal, that we need to have a shared goal, and then we have to have mutual respect and abundance mentality. So the shared goal wala concept jo hai, that is not as evident in 7 Habits book. So you need to read something beyond it, and that is where Crucial Accountability helped me a lot. And for empathic listening, Crucial Conversations is a very beautiful book. If you're struggling with this, then first try 7 Habits. But then if that doesn't really solve all your doubts and problems, you can choose to read Crucial Conversations. Again, it is a very beautiful book, very powerful book. But it is only about this one habit, how to make these crucial conversations meaningful. So it says that empathic listening is required only when the stakes are high, when emotions are high, and when the other person, or when you're not seeing eye to eye, when there is some disagreement. That is when empathic listening is required. At other times, there are other forms of listening which could also work. So what are these other forms of listening? For example, one form is ignoring. Do you listen like this? When is ignoring helpful?
When we really want to pick our piece of like very selective listening, right?
No. Selective listening is separate. Ignoring.
All right. Ignoring, it's like sometimes when we get the mails to attend this important, you're just for being audience, you need to be there and you have to leave your important work. Then I simply, we are physically present, but not interested. And that area is also not related to me sometimes. So it is happening. A lot of forcement is there. So you have
Anything
to attend
else?
this webinar.
Any other times that you would ignore?
Ignoring means when my kids are shouting, actually, they're like demanding something. I need some time. Like my meeting is going on or something is going on. So I ignore them for a while.
Okay. Okay. Let us say we are talking now. Yeah, Rutu, please.
Showing indifference.
Showing indifference. Yeah. When would you be indifferent to something? That is what my question is. That is what ignoring means.
When you want to prove when you want to prove your point.
When you want to prove your point. Okay. Surya?
So if some people are just gossiping about something and you feel that's completely not, you don't want to either say or, stop them or support them, you just ignore it.
Yeah, thank you. Like Seshu said, no common goal or completely irrelevant to you. Okay, thank you, Seshu, for adding this. So let us say we are talking now and there is a sabji wala going from outside shouting, Alu itna rupaya, something like that. Huh? What do? Will you listen to him?
No, it's like hearing. It's like it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening, but you ignore it. You're not listening. The noise of the fan, ignored. So that is also ignoring. And what you pointed out is also ignoring. Now, I also heard something which had an agenda in it. When I want to prove that I am strong, then I will ignore. So where is this coming from? What does this indicate about us? It means that we are not yet well established in our private victory. Because we get our sense of strength from ignoring someone.
Something related to self-righteous kind of a thing is I'm always right. So I ignore what others say.
I don't know. See, what I heard was I'm ignoring so that I can show what I mean. I can prove my point. Now, what this means is that your sense of accomplishment.
We can say this is the ego.
Yeah. And when does ego strengthen? When is the ego very strong? When do you need the ego to be strong? Yes, when you are insecure. That is when you need to build a strong wall around you. Is it not?
Yes.
So you're not well established in your private victory yet. So you don't ignore to prove a point.
Yeah.
So, okay, I know some of us do it at times, but then whenever we do it, let us be aware that somewhere our private victory is not well established and we need to work on ourselves first. Let us prove it to ourselves that we are established. Then you will not have any need to ignore to prove yourself. You will still ignore the fan, you will still ignore gossip, you will still ignore irrelevant topics and stuff like that. Like Kamalpreet said, there is this meeting I've been invited to just to fill the hall. There's a visitor speaker and I have to be sitting there. They just need faces there. And you have to go. So you're ignoring. Then, if one is ignoring, then what is the next stage? Passive listening. What do you think by passive listening?
Just listen, not giving too much attention to that.
Yeah, no attention.
Yeah,
now here the words are falling. Now here the words are falling on the ears. You're not doing anything to them.
Physically we are present, but intellectually we are not there.
Yes. So Kamal, this actually is what you do.
No, I don't do it. Usually it's like you do.
No. When you are invited to that kind of a meeting.
Anuj, that is not also a kind of invitation. It is like we have to do it because we faculty don't have an option, right? Yes, they just look at the lectures, timetable and they find out, okay, this important event is going on, send them there to fill the auditorium, right? It's like that.
That is what is passive listening, because you even have to possibly look to the front, you cannot simply ignore.
Yes.
So that is passive listening. Physically you are there, but not the words are falling, nothing happening.
Obviously.
Yeah. Then we have selective listening. Now, men in this room who are married would be very adept at this. What is selective listening?
May I speak?
Yes, Vanita.
When I focus on only those things which are interesting to me or appealing to me or are I require. अपने काम की बात सुन लेना, बाकी को सुन लिया तो इग्नोर कर देना या not giving importance to it.
Yes. A person told about 10 things, you listen just one, which was relevant to you. Remaining all the rant, no hearing given to that. Surya?
I think some teenage children are also doing a lot of selective listening because they sometimes feel that mom is going on and on. So they will say, okay, I've understood.
Yes.
So you just kind of understand that.
It's in response to nagging. That you will usually do selective listening. Why teenage parents?
But sometimes what I thought selective listening is not intentionally, it's by default is happening.
Yeah, your system has done it. You've ignored the nagging partner. So your system has adapted itself to do it like that.
So later on we'll say, no, I didn't listen it, what you say.
So then after selective listening, what do you think will be there? See, we are going to higher levels of involvement.
Empathetic listening. Empathetic listening?
Oh, empathy. It's too early.
Okay.
Yeah, attentive listening, active listening. See, what is happening? Ignoring, we are not even bothered. Even nothing is even if it is falling on our eardrums, the brain is not even capturing it. Passive listening, words are falling on the ears. They may be going to the brain. Some words are happening, but I'm not bothered. I'm not making the meaning out of it. Selective, there are some keywords that I'm going to look out for. As soon as those keywords come, I will look up. And I will listen to that. This also happens, for those of us who've been in office or something like that. We have to, do an appraisal for someone, or we are listening to a technical talk. Then, this is what I want to hear. So let this word come. When we are evaluating projects, students are working on. We know what keywords are important, so we do selective listening. Remaining, okay, just go on. That's rant. I'm not bothered. So that is selective listening. Then attentive listening. Attentive listening is, for example, attending a lecture, which is of interest to us. So see what is happening. I am starting to involve with the words, and as I get involved with, so over here I am still only at the words level. Till now, no emotion is there. Am I right? Is there any role of emotions in any of these 4 listening styles? No emotions, not yet. But this sensitivity towards words is gradually building up. From ignoring to attentive listening. At attentive listening, you are 100% there. Listening to all the words that are falling on your ears, trying to make meaning out of it. Then comes listening for potential. This is the first time some feelings start to emerge. What is the feeling that you're looking for when you are listening for potential?
We are looking for some problem for which we can have a solution.
Yeah, you will experience excitement. This idea, this is so wonderful. I would want to work on it. That is listening for potential. This is a beautiful thing. We probably have a solution here. We can probably look for a collaboration. So there is some excitement which starts to come in when you're listening for potential. Or even it could be sadness. I was listening for potential, but this is a damn squib, doesn't work. But some emotion would figure in now. And attentive listening, you're simply focusing on the information part. A professor is taking a lecture, giving a lecture, and you are just trying to understand it. That is attentive listening. The student is asking a question, you're trying to understand what the student means. That is attentive listening. Now, in a project discussion instead, if the student is proposing some idea, then you are listening for potential. Here, emotions start to come up. And beyond this is what we call as empathic listening, where you need not only pay attention to the words, but you also pay attention to the emotions. You are locked into the emotions of the other person completely. And that is empathic listening. How do you do empathic listening? How do you lock into the emotions of another person?
May I speak, sir?
Yes, Menka.
When we think ourselves in his or her place and started thinking about ourselves in that particular situation.
So when we try to put ourselves in their shoes, try to see where the shoe is pinching.
Yes, yes.
Great. Thank you, Menka, for sharing this. How else would we want to do empathic listening? So what are we trying to do? We are seeking to understand. Putting oneself in someone else's shoes is like trying to understand that person's pain, that person's life, the way it is happening. So how would you do that? Would you ask questions to this person? When the person is emotional, when the person is in a troubled state of mind, would questions help? Have you tried asking questions at such times? Hello?
Not exactly. If a person is an outburst kind of a situation, then we first try to console the person.
Okay, so console means, Vanita?
Console means to overcome that situation, to pacify.
So nahi, sab theek hai. You know what Stephen did. Sab theek hai, try harder. That is pacifying. We do that?
Not exactly, but then like if it is an outburst, then first we have to, bring that person to normalcy.
Yeah, how do you do that? That's the question. How do you do that? See, all that we are discussing over here, all that is somewhere, all of us are experiencing in our life, na? So this is not for the first time. While I will put in words like circle of influence, I will put in words like proactive language, but we anyways are using that language so many times. Hai? So how do you handle a situation when a friend is in a crisis and is talking to you? Rutu?
So we try to understand from where the person is coming, what exactly the situation is like.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Maybe by thinking as to if you were in that place, what is it that you would think?
So this person is sitting in front of you and you're thinking, what is this person feeling now?
But then it would be
this person is speaking something to you and you are thinking something else.
You tell him that you understand his feelings.
How do you tell him you understand, Mohan? Just speaking. Oh, Mohan, I understand you. Is that good enough?
By nodding and
by nodding. Okay. By acknowledging. Okay. Thank you. What else?
First of all, we will listen very carefully what he is trying to say. And then we'll give our experience or our best knowledge. But we can also explore the other options also from our known.
So first you will listen, and once you have listened, then you will reply.
Yes.
We can.
So you're listening with an intent to reply then. Push.
We can rephrase what he or she says.
We can paraphrase what is being said. Oh, you mean to say this is how it happened? Something like that. Oh, then what else? What else? So thank you for this.
By mirroring.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have been an HOD for 11 years now. So generally there are outbursts at occasions. So what I tell people is that we are grown up. First of all, stop crying or stop yelling. Like either we can do one thing. Either we can cry or shout, or we can converse. So for a healthy conversation, first we have to come to normalcy. So that is how I pacify. I don't pamper people. नहीं सब ठीक हो जाएगा, सब ये हो जाएगा. सब ठीक नहीं है, तभी वो person ऐसे कर रहा है react. So the first thing is to make them realize that they are grown ups and they need to, pacify, come at peace with themselves,
So
and then
they are in an
we can
emotional
have a
state,
regular
Vanita.
conversation.
They are in an emotional state. So आप उनको कहते तो सीधा कि बस चुप हो जाओ, अब कोई रोना धोने का मतलब नहीं है, बात करते हैं. Does it
नहीं,
work?
ऐसे रूडली नहीं बोलते हैं, लेकिन उनको यही कहते हैं कि crying is not the solution. So first of all, stop crying, and then we can sit and converse. Sit across the table and we'll converse and we'll try to find a solution.
Yeah. So Vanita, do you realize that while this works fine, but do you realize that there could be a better way? Because अभी आप क्या कह रहे हो? I have not understood your problem, but I know that this is not the solution. अभी आप ये कह रहे हो.
So
Am I
that
right?
is okay. But then
that is okay.
हाँ.
So, but probably there could be a state where we say, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but crying is not the solution. So how do you bring that understanding? That is what my question is. Vishal?
First, what is important that we can able to give a confidence to the person that who has approached us, that our body language, our eye contact, our way of tone, we give him a place where he can able to speak what is required. So if you give the atmosphere where he feel comfortable, then once he is settled down, then it is the second step that we can able to communicate to him that okay, what is this problem, then we can able to go further steps.
Thank you, Vishal. What Vishal is saying is that we connect with the person, we make an eye contact, we through our body language communicate to him that we understand him, so that this person starts to open up to us and trusts us. So when we use the body language to communicate that I understand, what is it that we need to do? Anyone of you have heard the term mirroring? Anyone has heard about neuro-linguistic programming?
Yeah, you use the same body language as that person is doing.
If that person is sitting like this, you first sit like this, exactly like him. Then you will start to feel the emotion that he or she is feeling, but you are more aware. That person is in an emotional state. That person is not able to come out of it independently. So first you mirror this person. And then when you change your body posture, you will realize that the other person will now mirror you. And as that person changes his or her body posture, what happens? That person also changes the emotion that he is going through. You, in a way, try to help him or her clear the haze in some manner. So in empathic listening, mirroring is also a very important tool that we use. So, Mohan, you want to add something more?
Yeah, in mirroring, sometimes the other person can make out that you are just trying to imitate him.
So thank you, Mohan. This is very important that our attempt has to be genuine. See, our intent has to be to help the other person clear that haze for himself. See, he's a friend or he is a person who matters to us. That is why we are investing that energy of empathic listening with him or her. Is it not? So when this person is in that state of distress, it bothers us. And we want to help him or her. We should come from that state. When we are coming from that state genuinely, then even if the other person is able to make out that we are kind of imitating him or mirroring him or her, this person will not mind, because there is this level of trust. There is this level of confidence that you are a friend and you're not intending to hurt the person, that you're there to help him or her. And then it is fine. But usually the other person, when he or she is in an emotional state, may not even notice that you are mirroring, because that person is in a haze, is an emotional haze. Rutu?
Suppose if there are two sisters who are together, and one of the sisters has an outburst, and maybe she's crying, and you want to give a empathetic listening to her. So if she's crying, do you mean that when we are mirroring, and though it is very genuine, should we also be showing the tears in the eye?
No. Mirroring is more about how you are placing your hands, how you are sitting, how you are all that. See, the person has come to you for consolation, let us say. If you also start to cry, who will console you then? Mirroring doesn't mean doing the same or exactly doing the same. In fact, we reflect the emotions. We reflect the emotions not by crying ourselves, but by saying, I can see that you are hurt. That is why you are crying. We are acknowledging the emotion. We need not go through the emotion ourselves. But just that acknowledgement tells the other person that you understand.
Anuj, can I ask a question?
Yes, Surya.
So, how do we reach a solution? Like, how do we help that person reach a solution by empathetic listening? Or are you coming to that?
We will come to that, but you will realize that most of the times when the person is in an emotional state, he or she is just not able to see the solution. They know the solution. They're just not able to see the solution. All that you need to do is remove that emotional, gubar, the emotional baggage that they are struggling with. All that you need to do is help them remove that. Prick the balloon of emotions that they are suffering with, because that is clouding their vision. Once you do that, the vision is clear. They will be able to find a solution themselves. We don't need to prescribe. We need not take the burden of finding a solution for them, because if the other person is in an emotional state, whatever solution you will find, if the person is feeling that he or she is not understood, any solution and every solution will be rejected. Try it out. If the other person is not feeling understood, you give them 10,000 workable solutions. Each and every one of them, they will be able to find a fault with. Okay. So I would say, let us not take the burden of giving a solution. That is not our responsibility. It is that person's responsibility. Our responsibility as a friend is only to share the burden of emotions, to help them handle those emotions. Now, yes, if we are technically in the same field and we may have ideas, once the emotional balloon is burst, once there is no such clouding, then if the person asks, you offer your ideas. Many times you may want to do, or you may need to do empathic listening with someone who is with whom you do not share the same expertise, or the problem you do not really know much about. But they will be able to find a solution. So, and seek first to understand and then be understood. The idea is not to find a solution yet. The idea is to help the other person just clear the air, arrive at a common understanding that, oh, we are standing together. Now let us see the situation together. Now if the person wants your ideas, let him or her ask. If they don't, then they will already thank you. They will already thank you at this stage. Oh, thank you. I feel so understood. They will profusely thank you at that. And that's it. Now they will go their way. They will find their answer. The answer they usually already have by themselves. If you attempt to give them an answer, that answer would be rejected. If they are continuing with this feeling that they are not understood well. Once they know that they are understood well, either they already have an answer, or they will be ready to listen to you, and then you speak. Does this help, Surya?
Yes, thank you.
So, in empathic listening, as we just said, we reflect, we paraphrase, we mirror, we acknowledge feelings, and we never justify what we had said. Now the other person is saying that तूने मेरे साथ ऐसा करा, the other person is crying and he is, feeling violated. And here you go about to justify. Oh, नहीं, मैंने ऐसा नहीं करा. I did that. I did this only. This is your imagination. This is your figment of imagination. This was not my intent. This is not what I did. All that. Want help. You just say, oh, I'm so sorry. You're feeling sad that this happened. So you do not agree or you disagree. You just acknowledge the feeling that the other person is feeling. You do not need to agree or disagree. You should not question, why did you feel like that? Oh, you felt like that. That is the reality. Why is for them to introspect and find out for themselves? No probing, no questioning. Or why did you do that? Let him tell, no? Let him or her tell. And then do not assume intention. I also call it give benefit or doubt. The other person is crying. Do not assume that there is an intention behind that crying. Always see that there could be a genuine reason the person is feeling violated. Do not ever assume that the other person is trying to manipulate you by crying. Many times I've seen people respond in a very hard manner based on their experience that, oh, I was manipulated at that time. See, if you are well established in your private victory, you will never even assume intention. You will always be able to give benefit or doubt. But if you're not very well established, then consciously try to give benefit or doubt. Don't assume an intention behind someone's actions. Does this help? Hello?
Yes.
Any questions? Any ideas? Any thoughts?
Yeah, Anuj, I have one question.
Yes.
See, if my daughter is crying, she is talking with me, then I will go and put my hand on her shoulder and I will console her. But suppose one of my faculty members is crying and she is a lady faculty member and she may be, half my age, but if I go and put my arms on her shoulder and some other faculty sees that, then there will be a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
So in such cases, what do you do? Just, I can't keep on mirroring her or...
you just acknowledge the feelings, Mohan. I understand you are feeling hurt. I understand that this really pained you a lot.
That's what I said. We'll tell her that we understand.
Yeah.
You said, but that just talking will not help.
Oh, okay. So if you meant that you are listening with complete involvement and then you are acknowledging the feelings, that is fine. If you are saying that I understand, I could simply say, oh, I understand why you are here. That is like assuming intention. Now, this person will not feel understood. But if you acknowledge the feelings, oh, I can see how bad you must have felt. Then the other person will feel understood. You don't need to actually, I completely understand the situation, Mohan. It is not desirable to be able to touch or communicate through touch when you are in a public position or when you are in a position of responsibility. We are not in a personal relationship. So touching is a no-no, because touching may mean something else. Even to that person may feel offended. We don't know.
You can speak in a more gentle tone.
Yes. Because that person may also feel offended. What if this person starts to feel physically violated because you touched him or her? That will be very risky. How we handle it at home in a personal setting is very different. That is our daughter. There is a level of trust. There is a level of relationship which you've always touched the daughter to communicate something so many times, but you can't do that to a colleague unless, yes, you are again very good friends and peers and have known each other for 20 years and have been touching, have been hugging each other, for example, whenever you met, on all that. Then is one thing. Otherwise, no. Not even male colleagues, Mohan. That is what I mean.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, would you be interested in watching one video where this empathic listening is very nicely demonstrated?
Yes.
Okay.
There once was a boss named Ray who had lots of things to say. But when listening was needed, poor Ray never heeded. And since no one could reach him, something else had to teach him, till Ray learned to hear the best way.
I know exactly what you're going through. I went through the same thing on the McMurdy project. You just got to dig your heels in. No, I got to run. Hi, honey. How was school? Really? Again? Well, if people are calling you names, it just shows how insecure they are. Sticks and stones, sweetie, sticks and stones. No, we'll talk tonight. Bye. Diane, yeah, I got your email. I totally agree. We got to present Shumway with a plan on how to stop the bleeding, how to get sales back up to where they were last quarter. Well, who knows? I'm sure we'll come up with something. Yep, bye. Bobby, my man, you got your game face on? I got 2 court sides right here in my sweaty little fingers. What? Why not? Well, now I got to find somebody else to go with me. No, don't worry about it. I'll catch you on the next one. Yeah, bye. Dang.
This is a message from Leo. Ray, we have to talk. I need your help before you leave today. This is a message from Leo. Ray, we have to
Hi,
talk.
Leo.
I need your help before you leave today.
Bye,
This is a
Leo.
message from...
Oh, geez,
Oh,
Doris.
sorry, Ray.
You
I
gotta
was just
watch
headed
where
down
you're.
to the-
Hey, no biggie. Here, we'll settle out of court.
Hey.
Yo, Ray, we got mega problems with the phone system upgrade. I've been trying to reach you all afternoon.
Sounds to me like you need to take that bull by the horns, Leo. Have you talked to Lorraine about this?
Whoa, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Elaine's got the subs doing the hard installs during office hours. It's a mess.
It's a mega mess, and mega messes need mega solutions. That's why I'm glad my man Leo's on the job.
I tried to tell Lorraine my plan so we could get this done without bogging down the system. Nobody's listening.
Didn't we have this problem 2 years ago?
Maybe.
And how did we solve it then? Let's not reinvent the wheel here. Have you talked to Lorraine about this? Ah, Lorraine. Lorraine, Leo. Leo, Lorraine. You two work this out. I know you can do it. Be the solution.
Message from Leo. Ray, we have to talk. I need your help before you leave today. This is a message from Leo. Ray, we have to talk. I need your help before you leave today. This is a message from Leo. Ray, we have to talk. I need your help before you leave today. This is
You need a vacation, Ray. Oh, geez, Doris, not again.
Oh, sorry, Ray. I
No
was just
biggie.
headed-
Here.
Yo, Ray, we got mega problems with the phone system upgrade.
Didn't we just solve this problem?
Well, I've been trying to reach you all afternoon. Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Lorraine's got the sub.
What's going on, Leo?
I tried to tell Lorraine my plan so we could pull this off without bogging down the system. Customers are getting busy signals and we're losing sales. You know, I happen to know this would never happen over at SkyTech System, where they actually listen to their employees.
Lorraine, Leo, you two work this out.
Ray, have to talk. Ray, have to talk.
Oh, come on, Ray. Think, Ray. Be the solution. Be the solution. Be the solution. The solution.
Nobody's listening.
Leo.
Ray, we have to talk. I need your help before you leave today. This is a message from Leo. Ray, we have to talk. I need your help before you leave today. This is a message from Leo.
Hey, Leo.
I was just trying to find you.
Yeah, I got your message. Do you mind if I sit down? Tell me what's going on.
Well, it's like this. Lorraine has got the subs doing all of the phone system upgrades during office hours. You know, we talked about it and I told her I'd come up with a much better way to do it.
You seem pretty concerned.
I am concerned. You know, the whole phone system is overloaded. Customers are getting a busy signal. That's not good.
So you're saying it's affecting our customers and we're losing business because of it.
Exactly. We are losing business.
Whoa, that's big.
Frankly, I've about had it. You know, I feel like I'm spinning the proverbial wheel here. Like I'm seriously considering the big skedaddle. Vamos, the whole greener pastures thing.
So you're upset people aren't utilizing your hard work and you think this phone thing might be the last straw. Wow.
I want this to work out. I do. I know that Lorraine has spent months trying to schedule this phone system upgrade, but I spent 2 full days coming up with a really cool flow chart. It'll get her phone system upgrade done on schedule, but in off hours.
It sounds like you put a lot of time and effort into this and you're frustrated Lorraine isn't utilizing it.
Totally. You know, I sent her a file a week ago and she's totally ignored it. Unless she hasn't even opened it. What do you think? Huh. Oh. What should we do now?
Do you mind if I take a look at your flow chart?
No, not at all.
Wow. You have put a lot of work into this. Not that I'm surprised. Show me how it works.
Okay. Everybody's lined up over here.
As I see it, you feel like you and Lorraine could work this out so she meets her deadline and we still keep the phone systems open, which means we make more sales, which means we make more money.
Exactly.
Which is something we can do to bring sales up to where they were last quarter. Leo, thanks for staying on top of this. Do you want me to talk to Lorraine for you?
No. I'll run down and I'll chat with her. See if she even got what I sent her.
Is there anything else I can do to help?
Nothing I can think of. Is there anything you need?
Actually, you know your little talking message head?
Yeah, the Leo head. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? What about it?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. So what was happening there?
It was a loop system. I think in the boss's mind only. I think so. I may be wrong. I don't know. It was in his mind maybe because the loop system was going on until and unless he faces he listens to the problem.
Yeah, so that is one way of representing Manveen. So what the intent or what is the message over here is that this guy avoided listening. And when he was not listening, he was again and again and again stuck in the same situation. Has it happened to us that there is a problem that appears and appears and reappears and reappears? The same problem. I first with one person, then with another person, then with first person again, then with some third person again. But it is the same problem that keeps on happening over and over. Has it happened to us ever? Pattern. A pattern may, problems just keep coming. Has it happened to us? So this is what they wanted to communicate with this, that this guy is just not able to exit. Does not mean that there was some magic happening. What they are saying is that this problem is, this thing was just not, he was not able to exit the loop of the problem. Then what was the discussion that was happening on the phone in the beginning of the video? What was the discussion this Ray was doing with his colleagues and his manager and all that? Do you remember? His daughter also called.
Yeah, in fact, he was doing multiple things at a time with a time, you can say the standard time, which showing the time, which shows that he is not able to concentrate in any of the talks, or he is not there to listen to anyone. So he's busy with himself.
Yeah, the manager called and said the sales are very down, and he said, yes, we need to bring up the quarter numbers. He knew the problem. He understood. He acknowledged there's a problem, but that's it. Then the daughter was crying loudly on the phone. Oh, they need to worry about, they are insecure people and all that. Then there was some third person. So just multitasking, not really listening to any one of them the way they all wanted. Okay, I will talk later. I will talk later. So what else, Vikas?
So he was trying to accomplish multiple tasks without, so he was not willing to listen to one person and understand what they are saying, and not able to, empathize with them, what actual reason like they are trying to highlight. He was in himself trying to, figure out, okay, this is all what, like, he did not prioritize things, or I should say, I did not have priorities listed, and that's why he was, keep on running onto something.
Yeah. So what all tools of empathic listening did you notice in this conversation?
So, paraphrasing.
See, he was
of his colleague.
Acknowledging the feelings.
Acknowledgement. That is important.
Actually, I see you're frustrated. I see that this could be the last straw. So acknowledging what the other person is feeling. Paraphrasing. Oh, I see you put in a lot of effort. This is not agreeing or disagreeing. And what was Leo's expectation? So in the initial part, when he was not listening, what was he thinking I should do? He got him in touch with Lorraine. He did this, he did that, tried to escape, all that. But once he had listened to Leo, Surya asked, how do we offer a solution? So once he had listened to Leo, did he have to do anything?
No.
He asked, should I connect you with Lorraine? Even to that, Leo said, no, I will do it. Even to that, Leo said, I will do it. Even though Leo was initially frustrated that Lorraine may have not even opened his email, but after being understood, he was ready to take that initiative also, reach out to Lorraine himself and work it out. What else did he do?
He gave him his inputs also while seeing the presentation.
Yeah. So by that time, anyway, the emotions had been brought under control. Huh? So, but to bring the emotions under control. He just sat there with him. Did you notice? He sat there in front of him. So empathic listening cannot happen when the other person is standing and you are sitting, or vice versa. That is also a part of mirroring. You try to sit exactly the same way, but over there was a table in between them. So how exactly you sit did not really matter much. But if you're sitting, on the same side, on, finally he actually went on the same side also. Do you realize this? Did you notice this? He went on the side of his subordinate. He took that extra effort. And that was when the employee felt understood. So there was this thing, the first video of Seek First to Understand, Then Be Understood. There was this point that had come up where the person said that many a times we do not try to understand because we fear that if we understand, we will need to change our point of view. Do you remember this? This thing was there in that first video where he gave that spectacles to the first person, then the second person. So, do you want to watch a video where his son, Seen Kavi, shows how empathic listening helped them actually change their point of view and move from a win-lose or a lose-win relationship into a win-win relationship? Meaning to say that choosing or opening up yourself to a differing point of view can actually be a source of synergy, can actually be a source of creating a win-win solution, can actually be a source of reaching the higher alternative, the third alternative. Huh? Should I share a video with you? Just give me a moment.
And I said to him, would you mind meeting with me to see if we can resolve this? Because if we go to court, it's going to cost us hundreds of thousands, us and you know that. And let's meet without lawyers. So we met together, me and this gentleman, and I sat down and I said, help me to understand how you see the situation. Let's try to resolve this. If we can't, that's fine. We'll go to court. He goes, oh, okay, I'll give it a try. So he was sitting down and I got up on the whiteboard and I said, help me understand how you see this. He said, oh, well, this is how I see it, and this and this. I wrote down about 15 items. And then I said, is there anything else? And he said, yes, this and this. And then I just walked through and I just repeated back everything he'd said so that he knew I understood. And I asked him, do you feel like I understand you? And he said, yes, I do. And it changed me because for the first time I could see his point of view clearly. He was right. We were violating parts of the agreement. And I was influenced by this. And then I said to him, would you mind if I shared with you the same way you shared with me about how we see the situation? And he said, yes. And he was open to my influence because I was open to his. And so I walked through on the whiteboard all the things that we were sensing and seeing. And I believe he was deeply influenced and said, I understand. And the spirit in the room changed. It was suddenly mutual understanding, mutual benefit. We suddenly got into brainstorming about ways to resolve this. And in 30 minutes, we came up with a solution around us getting back our IP over a long period of time. It gives them time to adjust at a fair price. We both felt really good about it. It was a remarkable feeling because we started advocating for each other's position. And we left the meeting, shook hands, we resolved this. The whole thing took about an hour and 15 minutes. And he called me up a week later and said, hey, do you want to go to lunch? And I said, sure. And during lunch at one point, he goes, I always knew your family were good people. But I was so glad that I took that approach. Win-win or no deal is such a good approach. And my experience is that 90% of the time it works. Not all the time, but most of the time. if you're willing to be open and to listen and to be influenced by other people. So that was a really neat thing to see our content in practice, Scott.
Okay. So do you realize that actually being vulnerable, while seek first to understand, will make you open and make you probably vulnerable to changing your opinion. It is also the basis. It is also in a way the first step to be able to achieve a win-win solution, or to move towards synergy, to move towards better alternatives than what either of you were putting forth. Any ideas, any thoughts, any comments on this? No thoughts? So any challenges that you see in trying to implement habit 5 in your life, or things are clear?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Ritu.
So what if the opposite person is not able to articulate? Like, for example, my child, he's too young to give me precise words about the feelings or the emotions that he's going through. In that case, how do you take him through that journey?
Yeah, that's so with young children, I think it is so that is where touch matters, Ritu, where you actually just hug the child, be with the child, and tell, that is what communicates to him that you are with him or her. And then being a mother or father, whatever, one can actually then also through the same touch or through whatever, because they will not have the sufficient vocabulary probably to be able to articulate, as you rightly said. So empathy is not really about understanding the problem. Empathy is about making the person feel understood about his state of mind. Whether you understand the problem or not doesn't matter, because you are not the one to find a solution. The solution this person will find himself or herself. So for a child, if you hug him, if you hug her, and if you communicate through nonverbal cues, the child will also take a cue and communicate through nonverbal cues as to what he or she is feeling. And I believe this is not news to you. You would already know this. This is how you would anyways communicate with your child when he or she is in an emotional state. Is it not?
Yes. But sometimes even it's very difficult to understand what exactly the child is like. For example, every other day he would want a new toy, though he has a lot of supply of toys. Now I fail to understand, I mean, as you said, there is a lot of physical touch that we give him, a lot of hugs and kisses and everything. But why is this that he's making this demand for toy every other day? So this is something I don't understand. I try to provoke him. I ask him through n number of ways, but then it's difficult to understand a child.
Yeah. So let me put you this question. Let me put a different question to you. So this is a child who's asking for another toy. As adults, you may be asking for new clothes. You may be asking for, or not just you, I would say many adults, you would see they would just go do shopping, window shopping. They have these wardrobes full of clothes, but they still want more clothes. Have you seen that? You ask them, why do you need more clothes? They will not be able to articulate and tell you why they need more clothes. They don't need.
Okay.
The toys of adults are different. That's it. Someone wants more money. Someone wants more cars. more houses, more degrees, more positions, more awards. Toys change. That's it.
Absolutely.
So ask an adult, they will not be able to tell you. It's just that all of us want to expand. That was what Nitesh Anna was telling yesterday, wasn't he? That all of us want to grow and expand. We try to grow and expand externally. After a point, we feel fatigue. Oh, and externally, how much can you expand? How much can you expand physically? You know, you will go unfit. How much can you expand in terms of houses? How many houses can you purchase? And what will you do with so many houses? Managing those many properties will be a headache. Clothes, how many more clothes can you? There's not sufficient wardrobe space. So there are physical limits to expansion outside. That is where we need to expand inside. Now, a child, how do we help him or her expand inside? Possibly a little bit of silent time, a little bit of, writing, reading, creative work. I don't know, something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got my answer.
Yeah.
Vishal? Just want to know how young the child is, so that we can able to think what are the solutions for it.
Any age, Vishal. We are all children. We are all in trying to expand outside, me.
Yeah, because what happens sometimes when you are providing the amenities or the toys, so for them they do not understand the scarcity of anything. So as the child is growing up, so it is also important that they are able to understand that okay, the parents are working hard, but it doesn't mean that they have everything for them, because parents are doing for them only, but the children should not able to get the sense that how much money our parents is having. That is what is the way I think. You should not show that whenever they want something, you should provide them. So if they get the sense of belonging as well as sense of responsibility, okay, this is important, and this may is not that much important as compared to, because I'm already having some other toys. So that sense of understanding is required to develop for these children.
Yes. Thank you, Vishal, for sharing, because otherwise children get the sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
May I share something?
Yes, Meghla. Yes, Meghla.
What I want to say is that mostly parents buy toys for themselves rather than for the children. What I have noticed, a child is very happy playing with an empty box as well as a very expensive toy. So it is your sense of balance, your sense of perception, which is important here. The child is small to understand. So what you want to give him, why you want to give him, how you want to give him, what habits you want to inculcate in the child. Because once you start giving, it becomes, and like as you said, an entitlement. So all these are parental decisions, not a child's decision. Like I remember when we were small, if you wanted something, the answer normally used to be no.
Our children don't listen no at all, huh?
Yeah, that is the difference between wanting and there is a difference between needing. That should be inculcated in the child.
Yes. Thank you, Meghna, for sharing this input. Thank you. Seshu?
Were some of these problems not addressed during our previous combined families situations, where emotional feelings were taken care by some elders, and people used to look for solutions with elders?
Yeah. So, Seshu, again, that system was very good at work then. It may work now, it may not work now. Now, whichever situation we are in, we have to start from there, is it not?
Yes, very true.
So wherever we are, let us start from there. We know what the past solution was. If we can replicate that today, great, but may not be always possible. So let us find a solution now. So, Vanita?
Yes, I have a query over here. That is, this rapidly growing materialistic world, children see many things around them and we might not be able to afford, right? But then they have a feeling in their minds that my friend has that and my friend has this. So they start feeling deprived. So how to cope up with that? How to convince children for that?
These are the value systems you have to instill in the child. By example, by not keeping up with the Joneses, right? So these are the values you have to instill in the children. It takes time, but it works.
Yeah. See, somewhere you have to tell them that, okay, they are a different family. We are a different family. They have their resources. We have our resources. And what we have is not less. I very fondly remember that I'm not sure if today's NCERT books also have it or not, but when we were studying in class 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, we had this Gandhiji's talisman on the first page of our NCERT books, where he said that when I take a decision, I look at I close my eyes and remember the poorest person that I knew of, and whether this decision is going to help him or her or not. What decision would help that poorest person, the most underprivileged person that I know of, whichever way. And that was a very powerful statement. I don't know how many of us noticed, but at least personally for me, I read that a few times. Then it did not matter to me later, but that it still had such an impact that I'm able to relate it to you today. Surya, you want to add something?
So I was just thinking if our mission statement can be something which we can always go back to, and whenever we have a crucial decision to make or a crucial conversation to have, we can look back to our mission statement. And I mean, going to that you reminded me of Gandhiji's talisman. It was there in our NCERT books. So can we kind of connect that our life mission statement to that?
Actually, yes. Because that is what life mission statement is meant to do. It is meant to be our constitution. It is meant to be the core from where we will derive our security, from where we will derive our power, from where we will derive our guidance, and from where we will derive our wisdom. So that is the job of the mission statement. So align with your mission statement. As an adult, you will be able to handle with lesser toys. When you will be able to handle with lesser toys, you will also know of ways to help your child manage with lesser toys. Rajeshwari?
Sir, I want to ask, see, when normally in our childhood days, we heard a lot of no's compared to yeses. So we said, don't do this, like that, no's compared. But today's generations, children, they don't want to hear those no's. They wanted to say a lot of yes. That is one point. Another thing is, the child may be asking for a 5 rupees small thing, but the parent will say that I know what is best for my child. They may be replacing it with some 50 rupee item, with which the child may not be happy, right? So that there's a huge gap. I normally used to say my husband, normally if I ask a small thing, my husband may gives me something very big. I tell him, see, if I ask you a 5 rupee item, you just give me 5 rupee. Don't give me 5 lakh rupees car. That's a 5 rupee chocolate. If he gives me 5 lakh rupees car, that is a headache for me. And another thing is, we don't normally give that the time in which they asked us. It will reach us something very late, and the parent normally will feel that yes, I know better than the child when it is fit for the child. So in those cases, how can we? And our mission statement and the children's mission statement will differ.
So, in fact, for children, there is another book, 7 Habits of Happy Kids. It's again a very powerful book. You can use that with your child if the child is less than, say, 10 or 11 years of age. 7 Habits of Happy Kids is a very beautiful book. It's a set of 7 stories which gives these 7 habits in a very palatable way for a child.
Okay.
And I felt that using that book helped me handle such things with our children better.
Okay.
So that could be one thing. that we could do. Otherwise,
It's the book name, sir, once again.
it's 7 Habits of Happy Kids. It's by Sean Covey, the person who was just talking a little while back. It's by him. So yes, happy kids, not highly effective kids. 7 Habits of Happy Kids.
Anuj, I'm reminded of a saying. My child, I cried for a pair of shoes until I saw a person without feet. You know, so today's children, they are totally insulated, and parents give them whatever they want. You know, in fact, not only children, my students, you will be shocked to know that an architecture student in the 4th year, you know, he is about to practice as an architect. He had never seen a slum in his life. So he was staying in Hyderabad in Banjara Hills, a very rich locality. So he never knew that there are poor people and you know how they are living. He was totally isolated, like Siddharth. You know, once Siddharth came out of the palace and saw an old man suffering and a dead man, then he changed his whole outlook. So like that, the children also, once they see other children who are less fortunate than them, and they also gradually they'll realize that they're asking for the moon. And if we give them the moon, then they'll ask for another moon. Every day they'll ask for a toy.
Yes. So it's very important. Thank you, Mohan, for bringing this up, because it's very important for us to take our children for volunteering activities. For
That's what I was trying to say. Sorry for interrupting. That community service programs in schools are very, very important.
Yes.
Because they are eye openers for the children.
Yes, they are.
And
It's very important.
Empathy also amongst them.
Yes.
And they start thinking. Like our birthday toffees are normally shared with the workers' children who are working on the construction site. They're not shared with the classmates. They are shared with those children.
Yes. Yes. So great. So just a quick recap of what we did today. We started the day with the foundation principle of public victory, which is, what is the foundation principle of public victory?
Personal victory.
Emotional bank account.
Emotional bank account.
We saw that in an emotional bank account, the banker decides so many things. What is a deposit? What is a withdrawal? You might be trying to do a deposit, but the banker would consider it as a withdrawal. You might be withdrawing one thing, one unit, but the banker decides whether he or she withdraws 20 units from your account or 1 unit. And therefore, you need to make as many more deposits as the withdrawal has happened, as big a withdrawal has happened. So once we understand that there is an emotional bank account we have with every person, we also looked at some key universal deposits and universal withdrawals. Can we just quickly name a few universal deposits?
Love, respect,
appreciate,
being kind, being considerate, appreciate the other person, apologize, seek first to understand. What are always a withdrawal? What are always withdrawals?
Being selfish.
Being selfish, gossiping, speaking behind other people's back, assuming, seeking first to be understood, criticizing, being arrogant, not apologizing. All these are universal withdrawals. After this, we went into habit 4, which is think win-win, which is a habit of mutual
benefit.
Mutual benefit. And then we looked at the courage consideration matrix. In the courage consideration matrix, we saw that if we go into any other zone but win-win, and we let the system be, where we let the situation be, we do not act on it, then win-lose and lose-win will also become lose-lose situations. In effective relationships, we have to be high on courage and also high on consideration. So if at a point of time we feel hurt, we have to then use habit 5, reach out to the other person and communicate with him or her about and communicate with him or her first, trying to understand where that person was coming from, and then communicating that you felt hurt. Then what did we do after that?
Prerequisites of win-win.
Yes, we saw that to enter into a win-win relationship, we have to have a common shared goal. We have to have mutual respect, and we have to have abundance mentality. We saw a video where we saw that even if the other person doesn't come from an abundance mentality, if you let him or her win a few times initially, if you operate from an abundance mentality that if I let him win 1 or 2 times, 5 times, I don't lose anything. There are so many other games that will follow, so many other projects that will follow. So I will have a sufficient opportunity to win later. Then, so you are coming from abundance mentality, the other person will also start to see or move out of his or her scarcity mentality. And then you can move towards win-win. Then we looked at the win-win agreements in terms of desired results, guidelines, resources, accountability, and consequences. We looked at this video by Dr. Kavi about the green and clean yard with his son. And then we also saw this video of his son 50 years after this event, where he shared that he was just 7 years old then. He never understood what a Dr. Grag agreement is, what win-win is. But despite not understanding anything, he felt trusted. He felt empowered that his father trusted him with green and clean. That's a very beautiful thing to happen. That is a very strong tool for empowerment then. Then we started to look at habit 5. Habit 5 says we seek first to understand, then be understood. What are the tools that we looked into habit 5?
Communicate effectively.
Communicate effectively. What does that require?
Diagnose before you prescribe.
Yeah. What does that require? Listening with an intent to
empathetically and seek to understood from others' perception.
Yes. So listening with an intent to, what is the effective paradigm? Listening with an intent to
understand.
Understand. And an effective paradigm is listening with an intent to reply. Then we looked at different types of listening, and we saw that every listening has its own value. Then when do we need to do empathic listening? 3 ingredients or 3 indicators which have to all be there for triggering empathic listening.
Emotions should be high, the relations or the stakes should be high, and there must be either a disagreement or a lack of understanding.
Yes. Emotion should be high, stakes should be high, and there has to be some disagreement. That is where then you will do empathic listening. If there is no disagreement, both of you are on the same side, then you don't need to do empathic listening. You just need to do brainstorming, finding a solution. You see that? So any one component is missing, you don't need empathic listening. You need something else. Okay. And then we looked at this methods of or tools or method of empathic listening. We also saw that in any communication, only 7% of communication happens through words. Remaining 93% happens through voice modulation and body language. So if we really want to communicate effectively, we have to take care of, or we have to be alert and sensitive about the emotions that are reflected in the body language and the voice modulation. And to be able to be sensitive to it and to be able to do it, to be able to make the other person feel understood, what do we need to do? How do we do empathic listening? What are the tools or what are the methods that help us in doing empathic listening?
Paraphrasing, mirroring, and
paraphrasing, mirroring, reflecting, acknowledging their feelings. And what do we not do?
Justify.
We don't justify ourselves. We don't question them. We don't assume intent.
Questioning them.
Yeah, we don't question them. So all these are things we avoid when we are entering into empathic listening. So with that, should we now move into the last part of our day today, the meditation for building better relationships, the meditation for love? Any questions for the day, or we move into the meditation then? Okay, so now this meditation that we are going to do is called Chit Shakti meditation for love. Again, just like the previous days, you sit with your back rested, but your head not rested. If you are wearing socks, please remove them. Keep your hands and legs uncrossed. Keep your palms facing upwards on your thighs and close your eyes. Now, Sadhguru will guide us through this meditation for love. Before that, let me just show you a very short video which kind of reinforces the message of habit 5. I missed to show you this video. It's about so it's titled "It's Not About the Nail," and you will see why it is titled that.
It's just there's all this pressure, you know, and sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail.
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just
don't
try to see things my way. So I have to keep on talking till I can go on. We can work it out. We can work it out.
Yeah, so that was not about the nail. So I've also posted the quiz link. Let's do the quiz quickly and then we go to the meditation. Let's do this quickly.
Anuj, excuse me. Yeah, I
Yes,
think
Leah.
you also had to answer to help out one of the participants who wanted to talk about her home situation. I
Yeah.
think it was to be done today, but maybe we can do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Shamina, you want to add something? Vishnupriya? So once you're done with the quiz, please put a +1 in the chat window. Manveen? Sorry, you're on mute.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. So do you see that the discussions today, you will be able to find some headway, some answers to the situation that you are facing?
Actually, sir, right now I'm not comfortable talking about this. Maybe we have this discussion tomorrow.
Yeah, we can have.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank
But
you,
in
ma'am,
the
for
meanwhile,
remembering.
in the meanwhile, you reflect on how to use these tools.
Yeah, fine. I am into the session actually. So I am keeping my head open. So
Yeah.
let's see.
Sure. So once you're done with the quiz, everyone, please put a +1 in the chat window.
Hello.
Yes, Vanita.
Anuj, I don't have access to the quiz. It's showing there are no much search results for what you're facing.
Others are able to fill. I see a few plus ones in the chat window. Can you just try again? Is anyone else also facing a problem with connecting to the quiz?
No, sir, it is perfectly okay.
Yeah, please. Once you're done, please put a +1 in the chat window. Then we will move to the meditation.
I was just doing in the first question showing as a habit 3, but the content is for habit 5. I think that is some typo error.
Typo. Yeah, typo.
Okay, thank you.
Anuj sir,
Yes.
this is Rajeshwari. Actually, I want to thank you for introducing this kind of interaction. Like you are asking us to put +1, +2, etc. No, in the chat box. It encourages more audience interaction. And why I said this, I had a talk in the afternoon to address an entrepreneurship forum to discuss on personal management. It is a Government of India's KITCOS program. So I was a guest speaker today afternoon. Afternoon, of course, I missed your session. Sorry for that. I'll go with the recording sessions. So I implemented this by asking questions. I asked them to, I gave some activities. I told them to put +1, etc. So they were very interactive and they felt that well engaged session. Thank you so much for that technique.
No, thank you. It's just experimentation. All of us experimenting with this online mode of teaching. So I was also doing that.
Yeah, so that was very useful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm happy that you found it useful.
Yeah, thank you.
So I see quite a few of us are done with the quiz. So those of us who are not done yet, let us start with the meditation. You can submit the quiz later. Is that okay? Shreyasi, you want to add something? You're on unmute. Okay. So I would say please sit with your back rested. Your head should not be rested. Keep your hands and legs uncrossed, palms facing upwards upon your thighs. Keep your eyes closed.
Each one of us has desires, our very own list of dreams and longings. Creation may have its own blueprint for us, but our personal desires cannot be easily wished away. They may be extravagant or mundane, ambitious or trivial. They may be inconvenient, they may be too personal to share, but they are ours. And for us, they are real, they are precious, they are urgent and deeply significant. Here is a rare offering from Sadhguru, a mystic who embodies the wisdom and clarity of profound realization. It is an offering that enables each one of us to become our own alchemist, that empowers us to transform long-cherished desires into reality. Sadhguru offers this with the intention that once these desires are fulfilled, we will turn towards the larger goal of our ultimate well-being. Chit Shakti meditation for love and relationships.
Chit Shakti.
Please slowly open your eyes. So with this, we come to the end of day 4 of this FDP. I hope that this was a meaningful day for you. We covered a lot of concepts today related to public victory. We'll continue tomorrow morning at 9:30 with habit 6 and then with habit 7. Then we will pick up any pending questions or topics that we may have or any other discussion that you may want to initiate. And then we will also close the FDP tomorrow. At the end of the FDP tomorrow, again, even in the evening, we will have another meditation, which is for so the first day we had the meditation for, the second day we had the meditation for the body health. Second day we had the body meditation for mental, the success. Today we had the meditation for mind, for heart, which is relationships, love. And tomorrow we will have the meditation for spirit, which is peace. Okay. So I look forward to meeting all of you tomorrow morning. Have a good evening. Have a well-rested sleep in the evening, in the night, and then see you tomorrow morning.
Anuj, I have one question, Anuj.
Yes, Seema.
सर, हमारे कल के सेशन के बाद कोई एग्जाम होंगे ना? ये जो हमारे क्विज था वही हमारे असेसमेंट के आधार है?
Yes. This is we are doing continuous assessment. That is the purpose. We don't need to have a separate exam. इसी के इन्हीं quizzes के scores use हो जाएंगे.
Okay, thank you, Anuj. Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
What's the name of today's music which was played during meditation?
So this was Chit Shakti meditation for love.
Could you post it in the chat box?
I will post it with the YouTube video. I will post the link to the meditation in the YouTube video.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Yeah.